wonder if we took a poll of all the people that do live streams, how many use that countdown with that music? I bet the number's pretty high, especially if we do a percentage. It's got to be pretty high. Maybe need to work on making my own video for a countdown. Add a little originality to CCKF maybe. Anyway, welcome tonight. We're getting ready for the Raleigh Rumble. It's my favorite event of the year. We got two things that are affecting us this year. Number one, several people are not liking the late start, and two, the weather is a little iffy. So we just got to deal with both of those. The reason for the late start is number one, Lake Crabtree does not open the gates until 8 a.m. And also, Beaver Dam at Falls, there is a primitive launch that's open all the time, but technically the Beaver Dam State Recreation Area, where there is a boat ramp, doesn't open until 8 a.m. And I know not everybody has the ability to use the primitive launch. If you're trailered, the only two lakes you can really use in this tournament are Wheeler and Beaver Dam. And to use your trailer the way it's intended at the boat ramp, it doesn't open until 8 o'clock. So I am looking next year at possibly changing up the lakes a little bit. Definitely want to get everyone out on the water as early as we can. But right now we're just a little limited. The one thing we don't have in the Raleigh area is this abundance of municipal lakes the way Greensboro has. And I definitely don't want to go to Greensboro to do a multi-lake event because that's CKA territory. And we partner with CKA on a lot of things. A lot of us fish both, and I'm just not looking to step on their territory. So between now and next season, we'll do some research and we'll try to figure out an alternate here. Maybe we just drop Crabtree and have the 4 lakes, and then if you're going to Beaver Dam, then you either have to launch early and use the primitive, or you give up 2 hours and wait on the park to open. So we'll just have to wait and see how we decide to do that. But anyway, this is my favorite event of the year. Honestly, it's kind of my favorite because we launch a little later. It sucks to miss the early morning bite, but you're not getting up at 4 in the morning and having to get there. So that makes it a little more low pressure. You don't have to rush as much. So when I asked about the percentage of people who use that countdown, Paige Greco says 89.9% use that. So that's good. That's good. Want to welcome all of you again to the broadcast here, if that's what we want to call it. I want to start off tonight and go ahead and thank all of our sponsors that make this. I don't want to say they make it 100% possible, but they dang sure make it a little more enjoyable by giving us some prizes to give away. We want to recognize the Pin Cushion and Robert Ebert for his gift cards that he gives us for every tournament. We want to definitely recognize Yak Attack for their support, not just of us, but basically of, I think, probably just about every single kayak tournament that happens across the country. And I don't know if you've seen, they've got their own measuring board coming out, yet to see a price point on it. It has a couple neat features. So I know a lot of the clubs are catch only, but I would venture to say the ones that aren't might be looking to accept the Yak Attack board next year. It is plastic, so the tournaments that say 100% metal only, they won't accept it, but we'll see. I would say CCKF next year, we may get rid of hog troughs and be Yak Attack and catch only. So we'll see. Remains to play out. Thanks to Chick-fil-A Town Ridge Square, which is out on Glenwood Avenue, for their gift cards they give us. Thank you to Carolina Waters for supporting us from the very start. And a special shout out to our title sponsor, Carolina Paddle Sport Outfitters, for supporting us. If you're in the market for a kayak, at least check them out, see what they've got to offer. We have a couple guys. My kayak came from them. Unfortunately, they're no longer a dealer for Native, but you know, they definitely helped me out when I was looking for a boat. I had pretty much already made a deal on another boat, and then they came on as a sponsor. I said, I owe it to you. They got me in a Native Slayer when I didn't think I could afford to get into a Native Slayer. So I definitely appreciate that on a personal level. And definitely, if you're looking for a kayak, give them a call, you know, right out there, and see what they've got, and at least give them a chance. You know, they support us, so let's always remember to support the ones that support us. And with that, let's start talking about Raleigh Rumble. Of course, we know it's an 8 a.m. launch and lines in at the same time. This is less of a factor during this tournament due to the size of the lakes. You know, if we're launching at Harris, we're launching at Jordan, and you've got a long way to go to get to a spot, you know, we give you a 15 minutes before lines in. These lakes, you know, I think it takes about 45 seconds to get from one side of Lake Raleigh to the other. And Johnson is slightly larger than that. Wheeler's a good, you know, decent sized body of water. You can definitely do some traveling out there. I've never fished Beaver Dam, but looking at the map, it's a pretty good sized body of water. You know, but I feel like launch and lines in at the same time is not so much of a factor for this tournament, so that's what we do. Lines out, since we're launching at 8, lines out tomorrow is at 4 p.m. You have to have your last fish uploaded by 4:30. And the weigh-in, as planned, is at 5 p.m. at Rally Point Sports Grill, which is next to Bass Pro Shop over in Cary. Keep in mind, whatever lake you're at, Beaver Dam is the farthest one away, and Crabtree is the closest to this location. So just keep in mind where you are, and plan your travel time appropriately. The one thing we are going to say, weather is a question tomorrow. It's definitely supposed to be clear in the morning. There's a chance of showers as we go through the day. Sorry, that was clicking on the wrong button. As we go through the day, the chance of rain showers picks up in the afternoon. So what I will say about the weigh-in, if at 4 o'clock, and we need to call it before we actually have the weigh-in. So let's say at 4 o'clock, if we are experiencing thunderstorms, we will not have the weigh-in at Rally Point. The reason for that is we're not really reserving anything at Rally Point to do it. We meet in their outside dining area. So as you approach Rally Point, you'll see like a gate just over to the right, and they have an outside area. We're planning to do it outside. If it's storming and raining, there's not much point in us being outside. It is a covered area, but you know, one side's completely open, and you know, we don't want to go inside and take up their entire facility. You know, last year we had I don't know, let's say we had 20 people show up for the weigh-in, and not everybody bought food, and so I hate to just go in and take up the restaurant, you know, and not guarantee them a certain amount of food. So we're going to say at 4 o'clock, if it's storming, we will not have a weigh-in. If it is not storming, we will try to have the weigh-in. But of course, we'll make the initial call at 4. If at 5 o'clock it's storming, you know, we'll see what we can do. I agree, Dave. I thought last year's weigh-in was a good time. I think it's a good venue. It's yeah, it's a good venue, and it's right next to Bass Pro Shops. And who knows, whoever wins the wild card might have a reason to go to Bass Pro Shops after the tournament. You never know what that prize is going to be, but we'll definitely do what we can to do the weigh-in in person. I like doing the weigh-in in person. We don't require you to be at the weigh-in, but we encourage you to be at the weigh-in. Next year, who knows? There might be some type of incentive to be at the weigh-in other than the door prizes. We do not award door prizes to someone that's not at the weigh-in unless we're doing the weigh-in virtually. So just keep that in mind. If you want a chance at a door prize, you got to be at the weigh-in. Payouts are not affected at all. With that, I mean, the majority of the rules everybody knows. It's a 10-inch minimum. There's a half an inch penalty for an open mouth. We're trying to make that rule as black and white as possible so that we don't have any judgment in there. Open is open, closed is closed. If we can see the coloring of your bump board through the lips of the fish, that's an open mouth. Now, if the bottom lip is longer than the top lip, right, or you can't affect the shape of the lips, but if we're looking down the side of that fish and there's any gap in there, that's an open mouth. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you take the time to get the mouth closed. We've had several incidents this year where that has not happened. Just want to remind everybody, after this event, the next event is in 2 weeks at Jordan Lake. July is the only month that we have 2 events. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be fishing at Jordan Lake. Then we have a break, and then in August, we're at the Cape Fear River. Cape Fear River is one where we do reserve based on water quality and weather. We could, right up until the day before the tournament, say we're going to Harris. If there's a lot of rain like there has been right now, the river is terrible to fish right now. It's high, it's got a lot of current, and it's chocolate milk, and it's just not good. Hope that all this weather and stuff is gone and that we have 2 weeks of clear weather prior to the Cape Fear event. One interesting thing about the Cape Fear River, it's fed by Haw River. It's also fed by Deep River. There's a confluence just above where the Avent Ferry boat ramp is. If it has rained 2 days prior in the Greensboro area, the water coming off the Cape Fear leg is extremely muddy. And then the Haw leg is affected by the water they're letting out of Jordan Lake. So the good thing about the Haw is that water a lot of times is coming off the bottom. So your muddy water coming down the Haw into the lake is basically up on the top. And they're letting out water that is settled. So even when they're letting water out of Jordan Dam, it's a lot of times clear water. The bad thing about being in a kayak is that's a pretty good paddle, pedal, or trolling motor trip to get up to that confluence for when they split. So just wanting to just talk about that briefly while we're here. We'll talk about it again for the tournament. And Paul Roberts made a comment. He's absolutely right. So heavy rains in Greensboro causes a lot of floaters coming down Deep River. Matter of fact, I know a guy that had a brand new bass boat, went tearing off up Cape Fear, up on Plain, ruined his bottom unit. First day he had the boat out on the water. Me growing up in Pittsburgh and Sanford and being older than some of the guys, I remember when there was no Harris Lake and when there was no Jordan Lake. Jordan Lake, they started flooding when I was 13 years old. And prior to that, the only place around here that people had to water ski fish was the Cape Fear River up above the Avon Ferry Dam. I would never water ski in that water, knowing what I know about the floaters and the snakes I've seen. But I don't mind. I don't mind kayaking. It CKA had a tournament there 3 years ago, I believe. It was right before we started CCKF. It actually was a good day at Cape Fear. The water was calm. It was flat. I was paddling that tournament and actually got to paddle a long distance upriver because I wasn't fighting the current. It was a tough day fishing, but it was a good water day. We'll call it that. So whoever won that tournament did it because of fishing skill. I know Jeremy Hicks actually did really well on that tournament, but he was one of the few motorized boats at that time, and he went a long way upriver to do his fishing. So anyway, back to the Raleigh Rumble. I don't know if there's much else I can say about it. I do know that if you're going to Johnson or if you're going to Lake Raleigh, parking there is a premium. So just keep that in mind. With the threat of weather, maybe there won't be a lot of middle-aged women out there wanting to walk. So, maybe we won't be fighting for those parking spaces tomorrow the way we normally do. With that, I just don't know. I haven't seen any questions really popping up in the chat. Pretty much everybody I see that signed up. There's a couple names I don't recognize. So Michael Benjamin just put up a question, and I don't know the answer. Do the lakes take credit card for launch fees or cash or both? I'm gonna see if someone else answers. My bet would be try to bring cash if you can, just to be safe, because I don't know. Lake Raleigh does not have a launch fee. Someone has said yes, they'll take a credit card. Jeremy Way has said that Wheeler takes both, and Damien has said that Lake Wheeler takes card and cash. So he knows that's his home lake. And Beaver Dam takes both, but at 8 o'clock in the morning, their machine isn't usually working yet. So that's a good input from Eric. Lake Raleigh, I think. So we had one person that clarified, hey, Lake Raleigh and Lake Johnson, you can't have a trailer. Lake Johnson does not have an actual boat ramp. So if you're going to fish Johnson, make sure you've got a cart, landing gear, whatever it is, some way to transport your kayak, or that it's light enough. It's not a long distance to the water's edge, but you can't get right up against the water. So you are 100 feet maybe from the water's edge, I'm guessing. So be prepared for that. Lake Raleigh, like I said, there's not a fee to launch at Lake Raleigh, and on Saturdays parking is free. It's a they do have a ramp. It's a very, very small parking lot there, but you can park up on the side of the street if the parking lot's full on the weekends. And there's a parking deck just right over there. Everything in NC State is all parking on campus at State is free on the weekends. So Wheeler's, Wheeler's got several ramps and good for trailers, good for a big crowd. Crabtree has ramps. They don't open until 8, and I don't think there's a launch fee at Crabtree. I've never paid one at Crabtree, so it just depends, So Jeremy says there's no fish in Wheeler. You got to know how to catch them. But we were out there on a really, really okay. So there, one person says there's an honor box at Crabtree, and another person says no fee at Crabtree. So if you go to Crabtree, just look around. Just figure it out. Won't be that hard. But anyway, we fished Wheeler on a really windy day. I can't remember who all was there. It was me, my son Sam, Alex Sterling was there, and there was a couple other people. Um, my son, none of us had really caught any fish. It was so windy. The only place that we could be in our kayaks was that cove on the left as you go down towards the dam. And my son caught his personal best out there today. I think really about the only fish that was caught the whole day was my son's personal best, which was over 7 pounds. I can't remember the ounces, but it was over 7 pounds. Yeah, Dave, I know like during COVID and last year, Lake Johnson, they weren't manning it. So, you were fishing for free. I heard that kind of changed this year, but I also heard a story of somebody that went out there and went up to the office and they took his $5 6 weeks in a row. And then the seventh week, someone different was in the office and told him, we haven't been charging for that in a long time. So, uh, uh, so anyway, that was a pretty funny story. All right. No other questions. We'll start wrapping it up. Good luck to everybody tomorrow. Hope you catch a lot of fish. Hope we can have an in-person weigh-in. Hope to see you there. If we can't, yeah, Eric, I was thinking it was you. I was thinking it was you, but and then your buddy that fishes the MLF stuff was there in his bass boat as well, I believe, that same day. So, oh yeah, somebody's asking for the code. You should be able to see it on Tourney X now, but let me scroll down. RR2. Your code is RR2. I typically have some reason I choose a code. This is just Raleigh Rumble 2. So I will post a social media post with that in a few minutes. Yep, Cole Harris. I've kind of watched him. He fishes not the big elite MLF, but he fishes the those MLF. I don't know if you would call them opens or what, but yeah, I've watched him. Yeah, from what I understand, Hank, Johnson did close due to potential thunderstorms. It may not be open tomorrow. There was a diesel fuel spill over at Lake Raleigh, from what I was told the other day, and Lake Raleigh is going to be closed till we get done with this tournament, was what I was told. As soon as our tournament's over, it would be open. So we've been giving Wiggs a hard time. Wiggs loves Raleigh. He calls that his home lake, and we keep saying that everybody's going to go to Raleigh. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'll post up one of the pictures of the code here as soon as we get off, and hope best of luck to everybody. If we do encounter storms, number one thing, be safe. The good thing about being on these little lakes is we can get off the water fairly quickly if something does come. Yes, Earl, put RR2 on your identifier. If you don't have a CCKF identifier, you can print one out. It's available in our Facebook group under the files section, or if you go to centralcarolinakayakfishing.com and look at the menu on the top, there's an identifier there, and you can print it. Doesn't matter if it's color or black and white. Just prefer to have CCKF if we can. If you absolutely can't get one printed, we can work on something else. Good. Glad you were able to get one printed. But with that, like I'm saying, be safe. The small lakes on a day where we might have some thunderstorms are at least conducive to everybody getting off the water quickly if there is bad weather. So just, plan your day about, how quickly can I get off the water if I have to, if it starts lightning. Other than that, really hope to see everybody tomorrow in person. If not, we'll do it about this time tomorrow night for the weigh-in. Be safe, wear your PFDs, watch out for, if you're on Wheeler, watch out for bass boats, and hey, be safe and have fun. That's really what it's about anyways, having fun. So if you have to put your identifier on your hand, you can, if that's all you've got. Yes, it's probably easier than writing it on an index card and then not having that in some kind of tag holder to keep it from blowing away or anything like that. So I have had a couple people use their hand in the past. Biggest thing is don't have the mouth open on the fish. Make sure that if your fish is 19 3/4 inches, make sure I can see the 20 after the end of the fish. You know, it's best to give me a slightly wider picture where I can see 2 or 3 inches past the fish to just absolutely identify what mark you're on. I have had fish turned in, and they told me it was 19 1/4, but their picture cut off at 19 1/2 or 19 3/4, and their fish covered up the number on their board. I have absolutely no way. So just make sure when you submit a picture, we can see the length of that fish. We need to be able to see a number. We need to be able to see the marks. You know, sometimes we can't help the shadows that we get during the day at different angles we're at. Usually we can work through the shadows, but just do your best to give the best possible picture you can, because that picture is what you're turning in. You know, we're not weighing the fish. We're judging a photo. So the best photo you can give us is gives you the best chance to get the most out of your fish, I guess is the best way to say that. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope I don't have to do this tomorrow night, but I will if I have to. And we'll see some of you tomorrow. Have a good night.